Hey there, Connie Motshaw here. Thank you for joining me for my Google Domination online workshop. I can't wait to share with you 4 powerful strategies that I use every day in my own business and for my own clients. I know they work and they're going to have a big impact on helping more people to find your business. Many of you joining me today have seen me speak in person. So, from a presenter's point of view, I'm used to visual feedback from the people I'm coaching. Now, today I'll need your help just so that I know that I'm not talking to myself. So, while we wait for everyone to join us, please type in the box if you can hear me. You should see a little chat box in the top right hand corner of your screen. So, just say hi for me now. Hi, Aruna, Shelley, Shira, how you going? Thanks for joining me tonight. And we'll just start getting into it as I can see a few other people coming in. Okay, so in order to get the most out of this workshop, it's really important that you turn off any unnecessary distractions, which will be a little bit easier for you guys tonight than it was this morning. Now, I know many of you may have kids around. Mine are still running around in the background, and I hope they go to sleep soon. But don't worry, everyone is muted except me, so no one can hear them squealing in the background. So also make sure you have a pen and paper handy to write down questions as we go along. Now, when I rehearsed the content in this workshop, I estimated that we would have about 5 minutes per strategy for questions. So what I'm going to do is share questions that you submit in the chat box with the whole group. By interacting this way, you are more likely to remember and implement what I'm about to teach you. It will also help the group by answering the same questions they are thinking of or even didn't think of, and they will appreciate that somebody thought of it. Okay, so in the chat box, can I get a yes, please? Thanks, Aruna. So, I promised to teach you 4 ways in which you can rank your website on the first page of Google. Before we get into that, I just want to see if we're on the same page when it comes to being found online. If your business relies on search engine traffic to sustain or grow, but in reality it is more like no man's land, or it is just not where you know it could be, then you are in the right place today. So I've got a question for you. Another question, I should say. Can I get everyone to just quickly type in the chat box how many Google search result pages you go down to find a new product or service when you're searching online? So let's say you're looking for a new mechanic or florist. How many search pages would you go through before you'll stop and just go for the ones on the first page? Just the front page, Aruna? Any more? So I think what we're all agreeing on is that if you aren't on the first page, then you really aren't in the game, right? So today, we're going to go for the lowest hanging fruit. That is, the fastest and cheapest strategies you can use to show up more often on the first page of Google search results. So, there is one more bit of housekeeping I want to bring up before we get into it. I want you to know that I value the time that you've taken to be with me today, and I appreciate that you have trusted me not to waste it. I want to tell you that I'm not going to end the webinar with any kind of sales pitch, and all the information I give today is stuff that people pay top dollars for to get their websites ranked on the first page of Google search results. What I am going to ask is that if this workshop has been valuable to you, which I'm 110% sure it will be because I've put a lot of time into all the content that I'm going to share with you today, and if you're in a position to do so, that you support my 60-kilometre walk raising funds for the Chris O'Brien Lifehouse Cancer Treatment Centre facility in Sydney. Last weekend, I left my little boys and hubby at home and spent the weekend with a group of beautiful girlfriends walking through Sydney as a symbol of the long journey that cancer sufferers and their families endure. Here I am in the middle with the nerdy straw hat. Hi. We all ended up with injuries of some sort by the end of the first day: blisters, hamstring strains, aching feet, and exhaustion. We then had to back it up the next day to fulfill our promise to ourselves, each other, and the charity, or give up. But as a cancer victim, you cannot give up. So, with our lotions and potions, band aids, and sports tape, we carried on to the finish line. Apart from walking the 60 kilometres, each participant had to raise a minimum of $2,000 to fund research, clinical trials, and evidence-based complementary therapies like massage and acupuncture for cancer patients. Now, as I have a way to go yet to get to my goal, it's clear that I'm not so good at fundraising yet. But if Gail O'Brien can lose her husband to cancer and then her son shortly after, and go on to create a foundation that has raised over $5 million and provided tens of thousands of cancer treatments in just over 12 months, I think together we can do this. As a thank you for your donation, I will send you the replay of this workshop and my slide deck so that you can keep watching and implementing what we learned today. The link to donate will be emailed to you at the end of the workshop. Just $10 is enough to make a big difference. Oh, and make sure you stay to the very end. Aside from the 4 strategies we are going to learn today, I'm also going to teach you the one thing you must do every time you promote your business online in order to create your own following of ideal clients who buy from and refer to you. So let's begin. Let me just catch my breath and have a sip of tea. And I hope that you've all got something nice to keep you going for the next hour as well. So here's a quick introduction on each of the strategies we're going to learn today. Now, I'm not saying that these are the only 4 ways to rank your website on Google, but for me, these strategies have been the lowest hanging fruit, which I have tried and tested and had results with for my clients. The 4 ranking strategies we're going to cover are organic rankings, the Google 7-pack, free local listings, and AdWords. So, let's start with organic. There are many factors, of which Google does not disclose, that determine how Google ranks your website. What I have learned from my mentors and tested on myself and my clients is that Google likes rich text-based content, relevant keywords, location for local businesses, stickiness or the average time that a browser spends on your website, and if it is updated regularly. And I just wanted to add, if you have images in your website, any text on those images are not counted by the Google search algorithm. Now, what Google dislikes most are these two items here. So, keyword stuffing, where repeating the same words or phrases on a web page so often that it sounds unnatural, will lead to penalties of your site and could see it removed from the Google index altogether. Duplicate content, meaning substantive blocks of content within or across domains that either completely match other content or are appreciably similar. So for a full rundown on each of these ranking suicide moves, take 15 minutes to Google and read up on keyword stuffing and duplicate content. Okay, now the challenges that most people face with organic rankings is the time it takes to create fresh, engaging content, and even more time to promote it over and over again. But if you get good at it, it can be a very lucrative and profitable strategy because it places your business in a position of authority and authenticity, allowing you to charge a premium. Okay, so secondly, creating regular, helpful content allows your audience to get to know, like, and trust you, and will keep your product or services at the top of their mind when they are ready to buy. So, in summary, when you're trying to rank your website organically, make sure you're doing these things. Firstly, if you are a local business, put your address in the footer of your website so that it appears on every page, because Google bots like this and will rank you higher. Be a prolific and consistent blogger. Weekly is really effective. Any more than a month, and you'll likely see your unsubscribe rates rise. because the recipient has forgotten who you are or why they signed up in the first place. Thirdly, create your content in a format that is comfortable for you. So, if you prefer to do a short video over writing a long blog, or maybe a podcast is more likely to happen, then do that. Then you can get that content converted to the other formats in order to reach more people in the format that they like to consume. Next, promote your content where your potential customers are hanging out, providing a compelling benefit-driven headline and a short excerpt about the content or about how the content will help them. So, for example, if you write a blog post or produce a video, you would post this on your website. Then you would promote this content on Facebook or LinkedIn, email, wherever you can reach your target market that links back to your website. Because the more traffic you get on your website and the longer people stay on your website, the more Google will reward you with higher search rankings. Now, I want to show you something pretty cool, and I have, and this is only going to take a minute, but basically, whenever you publish a new post or modify an existing one, WordPress can automatically notify the search engines to index your post, which basically means that your content can be found quicker and easier. So bear with me while we go over to Google here. Now, you don't have to write this down because this will be in the replay, but I just want to show you how quickly we can change settings in your website that are going to allow your content to be found easier. So I'm going to go ahead and search for the WordPress, and you can see I've already done this morning, so it's already coming up. The WordPress ping list for 2014, and there's usually a new one every year. So we'll go ahead. It'll be the first result that that appears from Desky. We'll go in here and just come down to all the URLs here and copy them. Now remember, you don't have to do this now. I just wanted to show you this. And I'm just going to go ahead and show you on my own website how to set it up. So in the WordPress dashboard, while it's thinking about it here, come down to your settings and writing here. Scroll down to the bottom here where you see update services, and then you can just, yours will probably be empty if you haven't gone in and done this already. So just for example, we'll paste that list that we've just copied and save changes. So that is something that will only take you a minute, and it's going to help your content get indexed by WordPress quicker, meaning that your content will be found more often. So the next thing I'm going to talk to you about is super important. Now, did you know that on average, only 3% of people who come to your website or see your Facebook posts or emails are ready to buy the first time they see your product or service? So 97% of the people you have spent so much effort in getting to your website will tell themselves that they will come back when they are ready. But how often, and this is a question for the whole group, so I'd love to get your feedback on it as well. Let me just bring it up here. But how often do you see a product or service online which, when you are finally ready to buy it, you can't remember the supplier that you originally came across? So I'd love to hear your feedback on that, guys. Just go ahead and type in the chat box. And while you're doing that, Aruna asks, Honey asks, what is rich text? So when I say rich text, I mean text that makes sense and is also keyword rich. So keyword rich just means that you've got relevant keywords. For example, if you're a florist, you would go ahead and you might be your keywords would be florist, they may be wedding flowers, they may be funeral flowers, or whatever they might be. So rich text just refers to having the right keywords, but also helpful and relevant information. Okay, so back to what we were talking about now. Being that only 3% of people who see your product or service will buy at the moment that they see it, what if you got even half or 25% of those people who see your product or service but are not ready to buy to actually give you their email address? And then instead of spending more time and money trying to target brand new leads, you had a system to consistently nurture an entire list of people who are already interested in your product or service. So that is the true purpose of an effective website. And the way to do that is to have a conversion tool where anyone who comes to your website can give you their email address in exchange for more helpful information. That way you can continue to provide value and promote your services and products to them without having to pay, let's say, Facebook every time you want to do a promotion. So let's go ahead and ask questions or talk about some questions that you might have about organic rankings, which I'm sure you may have had some before you even came in to this session today. So Shelley said all the time end up doing Google again. So that is an exact example of a missed opportunity. And if we don't have a way to capture the people that are coming to our websites when we've done promotions, it's just leaving a lot of potential on the table. Okay, so while I take another sip of tea, guys, do we have any more questions about how to rank your website organically on Google? Go ahead in the chat box. We're doing pretty well for time here, so I'll move on to the next one. And if you think about some questions, then you can just type them in as we go. So the next strategy I want to introduce you to is one that I'm really excited about. So firstly, I'm going to introduce you to Google My Business, but did you know that Google tracks the IP address of any device being used to do a search and will result in business listings that are closest to it? So let me show you an example of this. We'll go over and do a live search now. So let's say that I search for a florist. Now I'm going to get listings in Castle Hill because that's where I am. So if I were to do the same search, let's say in Balmain, then I should get listings come up that are closest to me in that area. Now, what you can see here, and I'm not sure if you've probably come across these listings before and wondered how you can get your business in them. So what we have is these top 7 listings here are what is called the Google 7 pack, and it's called the Google 7 pack because there are 7 listings in it. Now, there are not always 7 listings in the pack. Sometimes there might only be 1 or 3. And not all business types get a 7 pack. So websites design, for example, is one of those who, if you search for that in Google, you won't find a 7 pack appear in the search results. Now, this is another Google secret, and we don't know why. There isn't a list of businesses who do or don't get a 7 pack, so it's just a little bit of potluck. So now what I want to ask you guys is, if you were doing this search and wanted to order flowers that you knew was certain would actually get there and be the quality that you paid for, which business would you most likely choose from this search result that's come up here today? So can I get some answers in the chat box, guys? Which of these businesses would you choose? While you're thinking about that, guys, I have a question from Shelley. You mentioned that the text in the image is not part of Google search. Yes, so whatever images that you have in your website, if you have headlines within those images and it's in, let's say, a JPEG or a PNG format, those any text in those images is not crawled. So basically, Google cannot see it. Is probably the easiest way to explain it. So if you're going to have very really important keywords in your images, you're going to need to repeat them somewhere as text on your web pages in order for Google to recognize that you actually have those keywords on your website. Honey's asking about hashtagging and if hashtagging on social media helps Google ranking. It doesn't help Google. It doesn't really have anything to do with Google, but what hashtagging is basically an indexing tool. So Facebook has picked it up a little bit. It's not used quite as widely there, but on Twitter it is one of the main ways that people actually search for different types of content on Twitter. So it can actually, the way Twitter works, it's sort of a 1 hour conversation in itself, but you can get in front of people who are not in your circle, so to speak, on Twitter by using hashtags. But it's not going to affect your Google ranking. Okay. So back to this one here, the Google 7-pack. I've got some, you guys are playing the game, thank you, and answering my questions. So Shelley says the one with the one with 5-star reviews. Honey says the same thing. And we've got Aruna says the first one. So it was the same in my workshop this morning. Most people chose exactly the same one, which is Blushing Blooms. And let me tell you a little bit about that. So 5 stars is social proof, and the latest online statistics reveal that 80% of online shoppers trust and make their buying decisions on social reviews more than word of mouth. So the really powerful thing about Google local listings is that you get social proof right there on your listing, as well as a tap to call phone number. So if I did this search on my mobile phone, these numbers down the side here are actually tap to call. So let's go down a little bit further and have a look at the first listing underneath the 7-pack and see how much longer it would take for me to be able to go in and find her phone number. So we'll just click through here. Now, Jodie's got a pretty fresh website, and you can see up here she has her phone number on the first page, which is exactly what I would do, and it also looks like it's a tap to call feature. Now, this is quite a new feature on websites. So if you have an older website, then you probably won't have a tap to call phone number on the front of it. So that means that if I were in the car or somewhere with no pen or paper, I would have to remember the phone number, then switch apps and type the number into my phone manually. So people are inherently lazy when it comes to searching online because there is so much out there to filter through. So it makes sense that you have to make it easy for people to call you. Okay. So how do you go about getting into this, getting a listing in here like these people? Well, getting a Google local listing is free, and it's much like setting up a Facebook page. So in here I have a link for you, which I'm just going to go ahead and paste in the chat box for you so you can keep it for after we've finished the workshop. So there you go. Can everyone see that link there? So that's the link you'll use to go ahead and set up your Google Plus local business page. Now, you will have to wait for a verification postcard in the mail from Google, which will take about 3 or 4 weeks. So make sure you set up this listing sooner rather than later. Now, one more thing about Google My Business is that although it should appear pretty quickly when performing a search on your business name, ranking in the 7-pack for your keywords in your area can be competitive. The relevance and quality of the content on your website has a lot to do with it, as well as having a 100% complete Google profile and how well your competitors have satisfied the Google ranking algorithm. So if you set up the listing and you need more help with ranking for your keyword phrases, you can get in touch with me at a later date to discuss. So now we have a few minutes question time again. So I'm hoping you've got some questions for me about the Google 7-pack. It's something that I'm very excited about. So Helen asks, you can't use a PO box in this, and that's correct, Helen. You cannot use a PO box for a Google for a Google local listing. But the good news is that you can actually, when you create your listing, if you have a business, let's say you're a plumber or some type of business where you actually provide a service at the client's location, you can hide your address from the public, so everybody won't actually see your street number and your street name. They'll only see the suburb from which your business operates in. So I hope that helps. Okay. Any more questions, guys, about the Google 7-pack? Okay. Let's move along then. And if you've got any more questions about this one, I'll come back to it as we go along. Okay. So the next thing we're going to talk about is local listings. So we'll actually go back over to Google and we'll do another live search here. So just give me a moment. So this time I think we'll go with mechanic. Now, what you can see here is the first listing. Actually, if I scroll down a little bit, you'll see there is a 7-pack for mechanics as well. But there are also some listings here which come up before the 7-pack in this case. And you might notice that they're actually listings from True Local. So if I click on this first listing, we come in here and you've got your tap to call phone number right there, a map. You've also got room here for all the services that they provide, and also your social proof right there on the same listing. So the reason I love local listings is because firstly they are free, and secondly they have such a high page authority. Now, page authority is basically how well a website is trusted by Google. So for example, a website like Facebook will have a very high page authority because of its traffic and the amount of time that people spend on it. So using these pages will help to boost your own page authority and get seen in Google search results. I actually have clients who have jumped to the first page of Google overnight just implementing this one strategy. So what you need to do for your business is to type in the Google search box the keyword phrases that your potential clients would use to search for you. Then list your business on any of the local sites that appear on the first Google results page. So here it's True Local. You may see Yellow Pages or some industry association websites, depending on what your business is. So remember to make your listing keyword rich for Google and helpful for the potential client. Okay, so Honey's asking, if you're just an online business, no storefront, will the Google 7-pack work? And yes, absolutely it will. You don't have to have a storefront for the Google 7-pack to work. You just have to have a local business. So it may be a business that people come to, or it could be a business where you service people at their own address. So it's that's still classed as a local business. For example, a hairdresser is a local business. normally people will come to them, so they'll have a shop front. A plumber or an electrician, however, may work from home, and he'll service people at their address. So that is still classed as a local business, and they can register a Google local listing without having to disclose their address publicly. Shira, did I see your question? Let me just go back up here and see what I've missed. My product is a new thing, so not sure how people can look for it if they don't know about it. That's a bit of a broad question, Shira, so you might have to be, a little more, give a little bit more information. So, are you saying that you need to educate the market? It's a brand new type of product. Just give me a little bit more information there. Okay, so moving along, does anyone have any more questions about how local listings can work for them? Okay, so while you're thinking about that, we're going to move on to the fourth strategy here, which is AdWords. Now, AdWords is the fastest way to get your website to appear on the first page and right at the top. You can also use AdWords for advertising on sites like eBay and Gumtree. This strategy works really well for many businesses if they have a good strategy and the ads are well targeted. But there are a couple of negatives with Google AdWords to overcome. Now, it can be expensive, particularly if the keywords are highly competitive, poorly targeted, and if you don't know what you're doing, you could run up a shocking bill. So let's go back to a Google search here, and there's something else I wanted to show you that a lot of people may not know about Google AdWords. Now, let's go back to florist again. Now, if you can see here, just next to the search bar here, I've got this little white hand in a red stop sign type plugin on my browser bar, and I have this running all the time, and it's called an ad block. Now, a lot of people will keep this running just so they don't get annoyed by pop-ups while they're working. So I always have this running, and what it actually does is it stops any AdWords ads from appearing whenever I do a search. So if I turn it off here, let me just show you what will happen. Let's pause it for now. And then I go and refresh this page. What you can see now is that the AdWords listings now appear. So let me just do a quick breakdown on the entire Google search results page. So your AdWords ads will always appear at the top. Now, as I said, they can be blocked by AdBlock software, but although I find it a bit annoying as an advertiser, you are only paying for clicks, so it's not a deal breaker. Now, so as I said, we have the AdWords results that will always show at the top. You may have some organic rankings that appear underneath that, or the 7-pack. And I have noticed actually the 7-pack just in the last couple of weeks has started to move up quite often in the search results page. So below that you'll have your organic listings, and they could be local listings or they could be business listings, as you can see here with Jody and Interflora. Okay, so that's basically your three types of results, which is your ads, your AdWords, your Google 7-pack listings, and your organic listings. Okay, so I don't have time to teach you how to do AdWords today, as that's a couple of hours in itself. So I have found a really great resource from Kissmetrics with step-by-step instructions on how to do it right. So AdWords, just like Facebook or LinkedIn ads, is not a 1-hour set and forget strategy. You can get tremendous and fast return on investment if your strategy is carefully considered implemented, tested, and tweaked. So let me go ahead and get that resource for you. So again, AdWords is something that you'll need to spend a bit of time learning, or actually pay somebody to do it properly for you. So does anyone have questions about AdWords? I'm sure you've wondered lots of things about how AdWords works. Let me see what I've got here. Okay, Shira, can you just let me know if you wanted me to let the group know what it is that you're actually talking about here, or is it something that you wanted me to keep confidential? Let me come back to that in a moment, Shira, when you answer that question. Helen, you've paused AdWords. I found you were targeted by advertisers who called us, which cost us per click. Yes, that's true. So, look, I know businesses who've spent, almost $10,000 a month on AdWords and still not had success. So I'm not really sure why that is. When I've done AdWords campaigns, I've seen returns from them, and I've seen a definite growth in business. So you definitely do have to be careful with who you're getting to do your AdWords, and if you're not getting results pretty quickly, then you're either targeting the wrong people, or you could be targeting the wrong keywords. There's many things that go into that, but if they're not working for you, then yeah, you should definitely pause them and look at another strategy, or getting the strategy done by somebody else. Okay, so Shira, back to Shira. So you have a folder for kids in their first year in school. So I would not say that that's a brand new type of product, Shira. And I'd ask if you've actually done a proper keyword analysis to see what people are searching for, when they're looking for that type of product. So just let me know if you've done a keyword analysis and perhaps what keywords you're actually going for. Okay. So let's go. I just want to give you a recap on what we've gone over tonight. So so we've talked about organic ranking and the 6 steps to help you get there. Google My Business, the Google 7-pack, which is a free tool that you should set up immediately after this workshop to get a listing with social proof and tap to call feature straight off the Google search results page. And you've seen how powerful and prominent they are in the Google search results pages. Local listings, another free tool that allows you to ride the coattails of already high page authority websites to boost your own website. Fourthly, AdWords, a paid but immediate results tool, if it's done right, that you can use to get some fast traffic and conversions. Now, we'll have a few questions, and then, as I promised at the beginning, I'm going to give you one last quick but profound tip to make it big online. So make sure you stay to the end, okay? Just give me one moment here. See if I've got any more questions. Okay, Honey's got a pretty big question here for me. If you're just a beginner, could entering the wrong keywords hurt your Google ranking? Honey, if you use the keywords where, darling? Are you saying if you use the keywords in an AdWords campaign or your website? Where do you mean you would be putting those keywords? Okay, so Shira, if you're going to do an AdWords campaign, having the right keywords is the first basic thing that you have to either learn how to do yourself, or have someone do for you. So if you've actually been running keyword, was that you that was running the keywords already? No, that was Helen. Sorry. Okay, so you've got to know what your keywords are, and it's not just even whether you're considering AdWords or not. The keywords need to be on your website. They need to be on your Facebook page. They need to be on local listings if you're going to use them. They should be on your Google Plus profile if you're going to use them. And I will talk a little bit about that in the last tip that I'm going to share with you tonight. So you'll need, go in and do a proper keyword analysis and find out what people are actually typing in or search what keyword phrases they're using to find your competitors, basically. So that's probably the easiest way to start to find keywords that you should be using, and that is, go and look at what your competitors might be using. What keyword searches are they popping up in? So that is a good place to start. Okay. Okay, honey. So on your website, okay, so no, putting the wrong keywords won't hurt you. I mean, they're not going to do anything for you. So, yeah, I guess that would be my answer. Not having the right keywords on your website, I guess it hurts you in the sense of you're missing out on opportunities if you haven't done a proper keyword analysis, and you don't have those on your website. Then it's just missed opportunities, really. But you're not going to be penalized if that's what you mean. Okay, Aruna, you have an old website, not WordPress. Recently added a WordPress blog. What is best, audio, video, or written blog? I'm actually going to get into that in a moment, Aruna, so just hold on there, and I will probably answer your question with my next segment. Caroline, how you going? A question about Google Analytics. Most of my organic traffic does not tell me what words they type to search. How do you find that out? Actually, Caroline, there's in WordPress, there is actually a plugin available called Jetpack, and I do believe that you can actually find, it actually has in its analytics what search terms people are using to find you. So I'll just put that in the chat box here for everybody to see. But if you have a WordPress website, Jetpack is a really good. It's a little bit like Google Analytics, but it's a little bit easier to read, and it's right there on your WordPress dashboard. So try that one. Okay, I might just, because we're starting to run out of time, so I'm going to go ahead and give you that last bit of information that I promised for people who stayed at the end, and then if we've got a little bit more time for questions, then we'll come back to those. So whatever you're doing online, give me a moment here. I've already done that. Whatever you're doing online, whether it's a video, blog post, social media campaign, email headlines, think about your own behavior when it comes to digesting this kind of media. So if the content that you're reading is really, really interesting and relevant and resonates with you, how long will you watch a video for? Now just let me bring this up a little bit bigger. So consider how you consume content online in order to make better decisions about the content you create for your viewers. Now, if you're considering making a video to promote your business, statistically about 90 seconds is the ideal length, and any longer and more people will abandon the idea of watching it altogether. So in video, you want to say it quickly. How long can you listen to a podcast for? 22 minutes is the average attention span of most viewers. So you've got a lot more time to fit content into a podcast than a video if you've got more information that you need to share. Now, this is a question that I get so often, and how long should my blogs be? So, how long an article can you stand to read? Just think about that for a moment. And if you want to share that with me in the chat box, that'd be nice as well. So, where Google is concerned, the longer a post is and the more relevant it is, the better. People, however, all behave differently. So some people like to read every word, whereas others will skim the page from top to bottom, or maybe even only the first third of the page. So make the most important points stand out and put them at the beginning. That way you should get the attention of both people who read every word and the people who just scan content. So what I've got for you here is another really good resource. It's an awesome article that you need to read that will answer your questions about how long a blog post should be and the most effective way to write it. So I'm just going to go ahead and take that link for you and put that in the chat box as well. Okay, lastly, now, where do you consume content? And is your ideal target market hanging out in the same place? So, for example, if you like to hang out on Facebook, but you've got a business to business product, maybe LinkedIn would be a better platform for you to actually promote your business. And that's not the same, in every industry, but just have a think about where, whether your ideal customer is actually consuming content on the platform that you're sharing it. Okay. So let's have about 3 more minutes for questions, I would say, and then we'll need to wrap it up. And I can't believe how quickly this hour has gone. Okay. So get your last questions in now, guys, because we need to wrap it up. Okay. Aruna, you asked, does that work on a blog? Can you just elaborate on that? Does what work on a blog, darling? Oh, Jetpack. I believe it does work on a blog if it's a WordPress blog, a WordPress.com blog, because actually, if you have a self-hosted WordPress website, Jetpack is actually connected to the WordPress blog, and you're actually connecting both the WordPress website and the WordPress blog together to use Jetpack, which sounds a little complicated, but it's really not if you just go in and add that plugin. So the answer to the question, Aruna, is yes. I believe it does work on a WordPress blog as well. Okay. So I don't seem to have any more questions here. Oh no, I do. Sorry, my apologies. Shelley, you mentioned the more regular the content is updated, Google will rank it higher. But if you're selling a product and the content won't actually change that much, will the ranking just stay the same then? That's a really good question, Shelley. So if you're selling the same product, then how would you actually change the content? So that would not really be a matter of changing the content. It would be a matter of adding more content. So what content could you add that will actually help people understand the benefits of your product? Maybe if you can just put in there, Shelley, I'm not sure if you told me here already before, but what you're actually selling, and I will give you a couple of quick ideas. Aruna, what does Google prefer, video or audio, or written? So, look, Google has an algorithm, and it has bots basically that crawl web pages, and they do crawl the web pages for text. So I would say that Google does prefer text. However, in saying that, if you're not the type of person, and to be honest, I'm not the type of person that likes to sit here and write 500, 1500 word blogs. So if you prefer video and your audience prefers video or audio, because it's not just a matter of what Google likes text-wise, but also about how long people stay on your website. So if you've got a lot of videos on your website and that's keeping people engaged in your website for a long time, that also helps your Google rankings. So what you can do is actually, if you want to create the video, post the video and then actually have it converted to a podcast, and also have now I can't remember what it's called, but also have also have it transcribed. So then you've actually got three mediums out of one type of content. So that is one strategy you can use to satisfy both your audience, your content creation style, and Google at the same time. Okay, Shelley, so you have a toy shop. Okay, so if you have it, so I'm assuming you probably do have toys, new toys to update, new stock to update your website now and again, but um, you know, creating little videos, little blogs of how your toys, help to entertain people, how to use them, special prices. I'm sure there could be a lot of interesting articles you could write about the toys, and share those on your social media sites and things like that. So it's really just a matter of not thinking about selling all the time, but also about helping people to understand the benefits of what you're selling, and adding, blog posts or videos that are helpful every so often is a really good way of creating content that engages people. Okay. Now I've got a lot of questions, guys, so I'm probably only got about 2 minutes left, so I'm not going to be able to get to them all today. Honey, this is a really good question for everybody. Do you need to constantly be adding or updating AdWords to stay at the top of a Google page? And I would say yes, you should be. You should be constantly monitoring your keyword phrases and updating them. To keep up with that's what everybody else is doing, right? So, if you've got companies that are paying people like me to run campaigns for them, then they're constantly monitoring, everything that they're doing. They're monitoring it, they're testing it, and they're tweaking it, and that's how they're gaining momentum, and they're constantly keeping up with, with what Google wants to keep them in the first search results page. Okay, one last question, Aruna, then it would not be duplicating. Can you just remind me where I was up to when you asked that question, and, what would not be duplicating? Content. So while you do that, Aruna, I'm just going to start wrapping up because I'm going to be kicked out of GoToWebinar any minute. Lastly, thanks for watching, and I hope today has been enlightening for you. I also hope that you apply some or even all of the 4 strategies, which can see your website appear in multiple results on the first page of Google. So I'll send you the details to get access to the replay and the slides to your email shortly, and also how you can help me to reach my fundraising goal for the Chris O'Brien Lifehouse Treatment Centre in Sydney. So let me show you the picture of my friends and I in our dorky hats on the weekend. So luckily it was a really nice weekend in Sydney just past, but 60 kilometres, and it wasn't a flat trek either. So it was quite an achievement for all of us. So one last thing, let me just go back to that question that I promised to answer for Aruna. Same content. Oh, yes. Okay. So when I said to you, if you create a video and then you get it transcribed as well as turned into a podcast, then no, that's not duplicate content. Duplicate content is text. If you repeat text, big chunks of text, either within your website or across different domains in order to, try and trick Google into bumping your results up to the first results page, then yeah, that's what I mean by duplicate content. But actually having it in 3 different formats is not duplicate content. Okay, so I see there's still a few questions left here. So of course we can carry on the conversation over on my Facebook page. And you can always email me as well. So I do appreciate having you here, spending the hour with me tonight. And any questions I can, help you in the group with, feel free to contact me on one of those sites. So when the webinar finishes, please take a minute to answer and let me know how helpful today has been for you. And there's also some questions in here about what you'd like to see next. So, some people on here tonight have had a lot of questions about keyword, about using the right keywords. So just make sure you go ahead and spend 30 seconds answering those questions for me. So again, thank you for being